Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the 10th week, the last week of the Mastermind Journey for Success. So without any further ado, let's get started. So just an opening thought from our last meeting, and that's wealth should be spelt wealth. And then another thought from that meeting, and thanks to Tanya for highlighting this point. When we read this, adaptability is about the powerful difference between adapting to cope and adapting to win. I just want us to ponder that for a moment. Many of us come from a point where we have had to cope with life, and we haven't really got ourselves around that point where we are adapting to win. Now, I think what we've given you in the last 9 weeks, you will admit that you have now got something where you can focus on winning. And because you know the system, you know your own abilities through the introspection that you have done in the past 9 weeks and the extra weeks that have been added to that because of some pauses. So you've had a lot of time to make notes, to think, and now you know you're on a winning path. Is your thinking glorifying God, knowing that you are designed to win? If you're designed to cope, or if you're still thinking about coping, are you really glorifying God in your actions? And often we've got to think about that. We are kings and children of the Most High. And do we see ourselves like that? Can we adapt to win in that way, knowing that we have been given every single thing we need to win? It's been put out in front of us. It's there. All we need to do is realize it and continue to win. Just a thought and something that we need to take with us as we go from these sessions. Anthony Robbins, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with him, he has the following to say: if you let your learning lead to knowledge, you become a fool. If you let your learning lead to action, that's when your life changes. So, what are you doing with the knowledge that you have, that you've been given, and everything that you've learned? Is it causing you to get into action? As Doc Anthony always says, what's that saying that you have, 1, 2, 3, or what's that? How does it go, Anthony?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
There's it. So is that what your knowledge is doing for you? That's what you need to think. Just talking about Anthony Robbins, tonight we'll be looking at stories, and you might have heard his story. We'll talk about the approaches to different stories as we go along this evening. So our calling, just to remind you, is to make a difference in the lives of people. That is our calling. That is God's calling on your life, to make a difference in the lives of people. Your other callings, that's different. But God's calling, his initial calling to you, is to make a difference in the lives of people. And you need to ask yourself, in your whole adapting to win, how is that helping and making a difference in the lives of other people? Tonight, we're going to be talking about the School of Life. And as you would have heard in the introductions to this coming session, as Doc Anthony's often said, we're going to be telling our stories this evening. So some of you hopefully have prepared some of your stories, and I'll be giving you a few pointers on how to look at those stories. So our formula for success is now complete, with the final session being the School of Life. And that is what the complete formula that we've looked at in the last 10 weeks now looks like. There is the complete formula in front of you. And last week we added the consciousness, and this week we add in the School of Life as the final point to that formula. Arno Claassen, who actually is the Formula of Success author, has the following to say: the main products of the School of Life are good habits, character, and pure motives. There is no success without those. So it's good habits, character, and pure motives. Pure motives speaks to your intention and what other people see you and your actions. So, we are judged by actions. Are your motives pure? Because if they're not, it'll certainly come through in what you do. There's Charles, the clever man, saying, your wealth is determined by the way you build relationships. That is so powerful. And the interesting thing about the way you build relationships, and the key to building relationships, is to remember that it's not about you. Not about you means that it's about the other person. It's not important what you're going to get out of the relationship, or if you think that you're going to build a relationship and you're going to get something out of it, rather don't build the relationship. But if you're going to build a relationship and you want to make a difference in someone else's life, and you would like to get something from them, that's something that you want to get from them is basically that you want to see a change in their life for the better. Then the relationship becomes very powerful. If you're doing it for any other ulterior motive, potentially the relationship is not a good one. It could be a toxic one, and it probably won't work for you. So remember, relationships are very important, but it's not about you. It's about the other person. Then we come to authenticity. And, the most important thing that you could do is be authentic. And we've got to ask ourselves, why is authenticity so important? Well, very simply, it's about being disruptive. You need to be authentically different from other people. If people perceive you, even though you might be 100% authentic as far as you can think, you might be imitating other people or what you've learned from other people. And people will not see that as authentic, even though you could be very honest. But remember that our whole outlook in life is driven by our beliefs, and beliefs are often handed down from us, from our parents, and things that we have been taught. When you look at authenticity, you've got to ask, is it what you really believe? Is it authentically you? Can you see that you are different in your thinking to other people? Even though you might think you think the same as them, as we know, and from sharing different ideas, you'll see that we all have a different perspective. And it's that perspective, that difference, that causes you to be noticed and be seen as authentic. Going right back to the start, we spoke about an author called John Mason, and John Mason says that, you were born an original, don't die a copy. And that speaks to the authenticity. You need to be authentic in everything you do. And if you notice that you're doing something the same as someone else, even though you might think it's authentic and you're not being untrue to yourself, you need to look at how you can do it differently so that you'll become more effective and be seen as more authentic. It could just be a slight change or a slight sort of variation in the way you communicate with people that is going to help you to be perceived as authentic. It's because other people, that's just how other people see us. They'll always judge us for what we do. So try and be different in the way that people are going to judge you. So we're going to look at stories. And this is very interesting. There's many different takes on stories. And my perspective on stories might be completely different to the way that you see a story playing out. Now, all I can say is that I'm going to share it from a perspective that has worked for me, that has always worked for me. And that is the opinion and the perspective that I'm sharing with you. So here's a warning. If your story focuses on your past, and if it has no vision, your story could continue unchanged for 40 years. Now, there's a key here. It's 40 years. What do we know about 40 years? There's a 40-year story with grumbling and complaining. who recognizes that story? And if you would like to just unmute your microphone, or if there's someone that's making a chat at the moment, I can't read the chat, so if someone can just read to me what the feedback is at the moment. Who was speaking there?
The story.
No, I'm saying it was Moses.
Yes, the story in the desert. That's it. The Israelites leaving the bondage of Egypt and off to the promised land. Takes them 40 years to get to the promised land because of their grumbling and complaining. Who knows any other stories about 40 years? So the first one that we'd like to look at is the one of in the desert, walking around the small little mountain for 40 years. Can anyone else think of a 40-year story?
You work for 40 years, for 40 hours a week, and then they want you to retire on 40% of your salary. And you couldn't get out with it anyway.
Absolutely. And that's the other fantastic 40-year story. There's other stories as well. And you know, it's funny that history repeats itself. Now, as Charles was mentioning, you live in South Africa, you live in this fantastic country. There's a 40-year story in South Africa as well. And it's one that the government often reminds you about because they like living in the past. I'm just going to go back to that slide of mine, if I can get there. That sort of reminds you about the struggle, as they call it. But if your story focuses on your past and it has no vision, your story could continue unchanged for 40 years. So you need to ask yourself, how long is their story actually going to continue for? Well, if history is true, their story and the complaining about the past will probably last for 40 years. Because that is the way we have been conditioned. We have been conditioned to believe that stories need to last 40 years. As Juanita was saying, you've got I think it was Juanita that mentioned the 40-year story, or what we call the 40-year club, or the 40-40-40 club. You work for 40 years, for 40 hours a week, and then you're supposed to retire on 40% of what you couldn't live on anyway. So those are the 40-year stories, and that's the way we've been conditioned. So what we need to understand is if your story is telling this story, okay, then your story doesn't have a lot of relevance because of the following reason. A good story, and this is where we often get confused, a good story is about something the audience decides is interesting or important. So if you believe that the 40 years story is important to your audience, then you can tell the story. Now, I mentioned Tony Robbins earlier, and Tony Robbins, if you know his story, and remember what is his desired outcome, and this is often the reason why people tell stories. Tony Robbins' desired outcome is that you come and listen to him talk. So how does he position himself? He positions himself as the underdog, because if your story is guided for 95% of the people who don't want to be successful but like taking a hot bath, as Zig Ziglar says it, then you can tell your story. It has no relevance, but you will sell seats because you're speaking to all the other 95% or 99% of the underdogs in the world. It's a lovely story if you're selling seats. However, if you're trying to influence people in the way that we try influence people, then you need to look at different guidance. And here's one from Eleanor Roosevelt, which has always stuck with me. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. And small minds discuss people. So who are you wanting to target? Who are you wanting to tell your story to? Napoleon says, a leader is a dealer in hope. A leader is a dealer in hope. If you were telling your story to a simple mind, are you a leader? Are you giving them hope? remember, our calling is to make a difference in the lives of people. So Napoleon says that a leader is a dealer in hope. So have you decided to be a leader amongst people and give them hope? Or are you simply trying to get as many people to listen to your story as possible, and you're not worried about the outcome because you were basically a person that was caught up by the traps of social media? If a lot of people liked your story, you thought you were successful. Let me tell you now that if a lot of people don't like your story, you're probably doing better than if a lot of people do like your story, because you've actually disrupted those who didn't like your story, and not the ones that liked your story. So, that's how we make a difference. So now I want to remind you that why has MyWealth chosen the following statement: leadership development through financial education. Have you ever thought about this? Why is this so applicable? Why is it? Why? Think about that. How do you develop leaders? Well, if Napoleon says that a leader is a dealer in hope, then the only way that you're going to develop a leader is to duplicate the fact that you're giving people hope, or you're actually fulfilling your calling and you're actually making a difference in people's lives. So we know that finances are what is going to change people's lives, because if you look at the original thing, as Tanya alluded to, and that was, are we adapting to cope or are we adapting to win? When you believe that your financial situation is going to change, you believe that you are adapting to win, and that's when you start winning. Therefore, as your financial education improves, so does your leadership, and so does the ability for you to communicate that with other people and give them hope. I hope that that statement that I've just given through to you came through clearly. If there's anyone that doesn't understand it and you'd like me to speak Afrikaans or something like that, I will attempt that. Okay.
I would like that.
Okay. So, for those of you who are not understanding Afrikaans, I'm going to be speaking Afrikaans now. As jy 'n verskil in 'n mens se lewe wil maak, jy vat hulle by waar dit 'n saak maak, en dis by hulle geldsaake. So as jy 'n verskil maak in die mens en hy kan 'n verskil sien in sy finansies, gaan hy begin om te leer. It's as simple as that, and that's where leadership, and that's the MyWealth system. Dankie, Shaw.
You're rich.
Right. So this is the most important thing that you're probably going to take away from these 10 weeks. Why is MyWealth have leadership development through financial education? Because I can assure you that if you can change a person financially, and not just a little bit, you take the person to a level which is now going to equal his monthly salary, and you've got him to that level. From that level onwards, you can actually make a difference. And that's where the financial education starts. It starts quite a lot earlier, but your real financial education starts with that person when he has equaled his monthly salary. That's the psychology behind this. Okay, so your journey and your educational journey with someone, it's going to take a while, because you can really only start teaching him when his income has equaled his salary. So, interesting. So, with that in mind, who are you targeting? Are you targeting a great or foolish audience? Are you targeting someone who actually can think about an idea that you give him, or will he simply laugh at your idea? And many people are going to laugh at your idea. But know that the great, the people that truly want to do something with their lives, will like your idea, and they will follow you and your story because of the idea and the hope that your story gives them. So your story needs to deliver hope to people. Talking about your past is like Tony Robbins. That's not relevant, in my opinion, to the story you need to tell. And all I'm doing is trying to help you not waste your time. Because if you tell stories that sound nice, but don't disrupt people, you're basically wasting your time because you're not growing. And you haven't shown people that you have the ability to grow. You see, people want something from you. They want to see, yes, they will recognize, if they know you, they will recognize that you have grown. If they don't know you, they will see you as you are. So it's no use telling them about the growth that you've had. So tell them where you're going. Give them hope, and they will potentially follow you. Right. Flate, my story is 8. Now, that was for those in English, it's whistle, my story is out. That was what I had to say for this evening. I didn't want to take up a lot of time. I hope what I've said to you so far has made sense. And now it's time for you to tell us your story. Now, I realize that what I've told you might be completely alien to what you might have thought your story will be. So I don't necessarily need to hear the story that you were going to tell, but if you've got thoughts about the story that you will tell in future, then let's talk and let's have a discussion around these ideas. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we shall open this opportunity. Thank you.
I'll start right at the beginning.
Thank you. I'm having a problem stopping my screen here.
Let me stop it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Just make sure. Oh, there we go. Okay. I just like being in control. What can I say?
Thank you.
Shame Anthony has to deal with me on a daily basis. So I want to start with the famous words, I have a dream. I've got a dream of seeing people fulfill their purposes without having to worry about finances. People able to improve one another's life by focusing on what their passions are. So it's not just it's not just focusing outward, but also getting fulfillment inward. And and as Rich has correctly stated, that if you help someone financially, usually you get access to all the facets of their lifestyle. And you are really able to contribute mentally to those people's lives and walk a journey with them until where, let's call it, the visions are aligned. So from me, over to you.
That means over to everyone, not me.
Yes. While we're waiting, Hubert, why are you sitting in a tent-like structure? You need to unmute yourself. There you go.
It's because every month we stay in a different house, and this month we stay in a house with a tent-like bed. It's just a mosquito net.
Okay. Now I'll give my comments to you privately.
And I have to sit here because the light is dim, so you guys can't see when I take off my shirt.
Thank you for considering us. We appreciate that.
I'd like to go as well.
Okay, Jan.
Yes, the story behind me is a very boring one, so I'll tell you what the story of my future is. What I'm trying to do is I have a friend who helped me when I didn't have work. And what he did for me was amazing, is that he offered me an opportunity to get to a job that I found. I wasn't going to be able to get there at all. And he helped me get there. And just a few months after that, he lost his job. And so one of the things that I'm trying to do, I was trying to help him in the past, and now I'm actually doing a lot to get there, is to not only help him the way he helped me, but to help him grow. And through MyWealth, he will be able to do the same for probably about 30 people in his family that we know of, that are really down and out. Just 2 weeks ago, he visited his sister for the first time in like 12 years in Joburg. And he came back and he was shocked about how bad things were there. And suddenly, when him and I had a chat again about the MyWealth and what the future holds for us, his eyes lit up, and he's now pulling probably as strong as I am, if not stronger, because he's now seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what I would like to do, is help people like that, because I think the word is the gratitude that I saw in his eyes. And we're not even started yet, but he's already seeing it. And that is what I would like to do. And I hope I will find more people like that. I'm sure I will. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Jan. Well said. Cecil.
Hey, Shell. Or Reese, can I go?
Yes,
Cor, Cecil and Michelle had their hands up, and then once they've finished, if you can go then. Thanks a lot.
Sorry, Cor.
Cecil, we can see you speaking, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, Cecil.
What I found is in the last 6-7 months, I've been so busy focusing on other people that I basically, as my wife says, neglected myself and so on. But what is amazing is all of a sudden I'm seeing people coming to me for my wealth that I didn't expect. So that has been a blessing. And I think the minute you start working and you show concern for people in whatever way, and you do that, which is right, the blessings will flow to you. It's amazing how when you concentrate on serving and being of service, then the blessings are just there. They come your way without you asking for them. So that's my story. I just believe, give as much as you can, and I promise you will receive.
Thank you, Cecil. Fantastic. Michelle, over to you, and so sorry that I didn't notice your hand there.
No problem at all. Thank you for this opportunity. I've had time to think about my story and what my story is, and basically, if it wasn't for MyWealth and the journey I've been on with them for the last couple of years, I would not have been able to find my purpose and my joy. I mean, like, I've lost my job during lockdown last year, but it was absolutely such a blessing. We don't have to be concerned about funds or money or anything like that. That's been taken care of. And me and a friend of mine, we're in a partnership, and we're absolutely having a ball, running with the purpose of early childhood development, getting preschool products and resources and training out there to try and teach little ones before they go to school, so that they're school ready by the time they need to go to school. Because education is lacking in the basic phases, and they're trying to fix it when it's too late already. So we're on this mission to try and get into early childhood development and get those kids learning, and they all deserve it. Every child deserves an opportunity, and we are absolutely having a ball running with this, with our purpose and our calling, and it's absolutely been a blessing. So thank you, MyWealth.
Fantastic. Thanks, Michelle.
Okay, cool. Sorry, man, I couldn't speak earlier. I had my earphones in and I was talking and it wasn't working. Yeah, I can just maybe add with what Charles said. For me personally, my story has always been, I want to see other people succeed. I want to see other people be better than what they were. And I want to give people an opportunity. My biggest thing for me is family time. And I see so many people working 9 to 5 or a job, and they can't spend time with family. So for me, family time is everything. And I think if we can give people the right vehicle, I think we start a lot with different vehicles. But for me personally, I feel that MyWealth is the perfect vehicle to help everybody give more time to their family, and then just be better people. If we give more, we will receive more. And I think Zig Ziglar said, help enough people get what they want, and you can have everything that you want. So that's just my story. I want to help as many people as possible.
Cool. Have you perhaps set a target for how you want to help people? Like, to what level would you like them to earn, for instance? Have you thought about anything like that?
Rich, I've also realized that everybody's different. You can't show people something that's maybe over their head. I think with lifestyle and possibilities, if we show them that results first, then it's easier. But I think for some people, it's going to be a lot different. Some people just want to replace their salary at first. Some people want to earn 100,000 Rand a month. Some people want to earn 500,000 Rand a month. It's going to be different. But I feel real freedom comes when you can do whatever you want, when you want to do it. You don't have to think about anything. And like I said, for me, it's all about family time. I was able to take my 2 kids on to go and play golf yesterday. I didn't need to ask anyone. We just decided at 1 o'clock we're going to play at 3 o'clock. So that for me is freedom. And it's not always about the money, but it's a lot easier with money.
I'm so grateful to our Heavenly Father that Charles and to the MyWealth executive as team, that they took up their calling, their life of purpose, to pay it forward to us with everything that they've shared with us in MyWealth, whether it is the leadership development, also the financial education, building relationships, the importance of that, because that has impacted my life greatly. And I was retrenched in August last year. I have some money locked and maybe lost in an unregulated crypto platform. But since I joined MyWealth in October 2020, I'm already in a much better position in the present than ever before. And the leadership development courses are equipping me more and more to keep on growing as a person in my success journey, also in the relationships. And I'm now free to focus on paying it forward in encouraging others. I realized that God positioned me now in a way where I'm an action team leader on the collaborative, Sanders River Valley Collaborative here in Kirkwood, Addo, north of Port Elizabeth. I have relationships with many action team leaders with a lot of potential, but all of them in a very poor environment, struggling to live. They earn only 3,000 Rand per month as team leaders. That's the only job they have, apart from stipends, stuff like that. And I realize I'm positioned to make a big difference with people who are already leaders in their own communities and environment. So this is such a unique opportunity through MyWealth to become investors or even educators because of things like the sustainability in everything they do. That made me think also in terms of what I'm doing also with my life. And that I can enjoy peace of mind with safe money in the environment that is duly regulated. That's fantastic. With the surprising insurance and value guarantees benefits. And with the exponential investment growth and opportunities in the best tax efficient way I've ever come to know. So thank you to MyWealth for changing my life, helping me living a life of significance, even better than I thought I could do. But in assisting now with boldness and confidence others to do the same, to pay it forward. That's my story. Thank you.
Fantastic, Jan. Thank you. Jubei.
Me and Christelle, we were thinking about our story the whole week, and we sat together and we spoke about it. That's one of the many blessings we have since we decided to walk our path, is to spend at least 24 hours with each other every day. So we have time to speak and to talk about a lot of things. And yeah, I'm gonna give it over to her because she reads and well, she just reads better than me, so she's gonna read it for you, and then
it's a team effort.
Team effort, yes.
Okay.
Our story. Week after week, we have listened to the calls. It has started to create the belief in us that sustainability is possible. It ignited the fire of hope that our dreams will become a reality. MyWealth is giving our family the backbone to live a life of our wishes fulfilled. I quote Charles, "I do not believe in poverty, and this has stuck with us. To be surrounded by like-minded people helps to raise our consciousness and creates a ripple effect for our next generation. We decided to take the road less traveled. Our story is one of hope, inspiration, one of possibility, one where dreams really do come true. Experiencing life to the fullest without having any financial worries. Raising and educating our children so we can influence them in a positive way. Traveling the world with them and showing them all the possibilities that is available. Giving them the option to explore their passions and interests and that they do not have to settle for ordinary. It is our desire to lead the way by being a way shower for other families, to inspire them to take the leap of faith into the life of their dreams. Take every chance you get in life because some things only happen once. One day we will wake up and there won't be any more time to do things that we've always wanted to do." And then we've just created a list, and that's on Hubert.
Yeah, if I switch off my video, everybody can see the list there.
Okay. So make an entrance. Do something different. Don't wear a t-shirt. Whistle while you work. Enjoy what you do when you do it. Eat cake for breakfast. Don't be predictable. Once in a while, let it all hang out. Smile at strangers. Be kind to anybody. It creates a ripple that comes back. Find a silver lining. In every situation, always look for the good. Paint the world red and create an impact. Take up the trumpet. Learn a new skill. Maybe something you're passionate about. Plan an adventure. Don't wait for one day. Just do it. Escape the ordinary. There is more to life than the 9 to 5.
Wow.
And that's our story.
I love it. I love the story. It's amazing that you can tell that, and it's unbelievable that you can tell a story about now that speaks to the future. That is a fantastic story. Probably one of the best that I've heard. Honestly, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just glad we could share it.
Yes, thanks for sharing that with her. That's so special. In fact, you should probably, I know it's written, if you could type it and put it onto the group, I think that would be a fantastic story because it's a story that each of us can tell with ease about our own lives. So thanks for that fantastic example. I really like it.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Chris, can I ask you to read Andre Handekom's story because his mic's not working and I think it's an excellent story. He's written it in the chat, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Yes, certainly. I was actually just seeing that. Thank you. Right. Andre Hanekom, my story is passionately helping people that I can share my experience with and helping them build or rebuild dreams. I always say that if you are in the hole and you look in front of you, it's just dark as you're looking into the wall. To be able to make creative plans, you need to look up so that you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We all have different holes in our lives, and you can look up, see the light with, and be able to create solutions with support networks. So my dream within the next 5 to 8 years would be to create 100 US dollar millionaires, educating normal people to become exceptional leaders by walking together and leading by example. Thank you, Andre. That's fantastic. It's all about the support network. And I think that makes the difference, is that because of the family and the support network in MyWealth, you can achieve success. Whereas if you were doing it on your own, it probably would have been a much bigger challenge. It's all about the support.
Rich, can I go next?
Yes, certainly, Len. Continue.
Okay, I'll sort of read my story as well. About 20 years ago, I started searching for a new vehicle to fund my very big dreams. I ended up trying a lot of different things and not with too much success. And I ended up losing quite a lot, and at one stage actually probably lost the whole lot. Then I also started feeling like a bit of a failure because I was basing my value or success only on my financial status. Then about the middle of last year, Rian introduced me to MyWealth, and I decided to take a look at this thing and check it out. So I attended the 2-day event last year in November, and I thought I was going along to have a look at some money-making project, but I had found something that was going to change my life. Rich, with this course of yours, you've also helped me realize that success is not about just for your financial achievements, but the success is what you were born with. Success is what is within me, and that I have everything within me. And now my duty is to extract this, to nurture it, and to develop it to its full failures. But rather, my story is that I have reignited the fire within me, that I now look for what lies ahead. Together with MyWealth, I'm excited about my new journey, and I know that I'm going to change lives and give hope to others as I invite them on this amazing journey to financial freedom and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Len.
Hi there. Can I go?
Yes, certainly, Mark.
Great. Okay. Yes, Rich, what you meant to mention earlier in the evening is forget about the past. In my case, yes, that's what I want to do, is forget, because the past has actually brought in so much. I wouldn't say I've had a good life. Honestly, it's been good, but I've made bad decisions financially. I got bad advice. I made bad decisions, things like that. So there was a lot of things going through my mind, seeing that I wasn't going to achieve what I wanted to for when it came to retirement, which is pretty soon. And I could see myself battling through retirement. And I was trying to find ways to actually, how am I going to achieve this? What am I going to do? And so forth. What was actually brilliant is I've known Gavin van Black for many years. We used to work together. And with their introduction, him and his wife, Michelle, introduced me to MyWealth. And it's amazing. I've been with MyWealth since February. And I cannot believe the opportunities, the future that I can see now. I can see everything is achievable. My wife and I had so many ideas and that planned out for our retirement and what we could do. And now I can see that, yes, things are going to be much better. We are in a much, much better position, and I only see a bright future. And I agree as well. Once I'm doing the things that I want to do, my wife and I are going to be traveling, doing our thing. but at the same time, we can also now introduce other people to this amazing method, this MyWealth method. It's truly amazing, and I can't wait to carry on this great journey. Thank
Mark,
you.
have you seen a change in the way that yourself and your wife think since February?
Like you cannot believe. My wife, she just sees herself in a dredge at work. Yeah, having to carry on work myself as well, and yeah, just battling, and the work is getting to her. And with this opportunity, my wife can actually now take early retirement, which is like 3 years before her actual retirement date. And we can actually start doing things. My wife is also, she loves animals, and she wants to get more involved in animal welfare and things like that. And that's her dream. And she wants to actually get into that. And this is the opportunity now for her, which is amazing.
Fantastic.
Great.
Thank you.
Cool.
Tanya.
I remember a few months ago, I think it was at one of the IBCs, Doc Michelle or Doc Ann said about reinventing yourself. And I was really challenged with that thought, because I think sometimes or many times we get stuck in our circumstances. We just go on with life and we cope, and you just keep on doing the same thing. But we all know that if you keep on doing the same thing, that you will get the same results. So we often expect different results, but we don't do different things. And I was in the last few months just really challenged about my thinking process and about my dreams and my goals. And I think we really have to change our mindset, our actions and our thinking in order to achieve different results. And then 2 or 3 weeks ago, Rich, when you mentioned about adapting to cope versus adapting to win, that really, really stuck in my mind. And I was thinking about that for a few days afterwards. And I realized with COVID, I think a lot of us went into coping mode. But we need to be careful, because then coping becomes the norm and we just keep on coping. And we as a family moved to Egypt. It's a new culture, new language, different jobs. It's totally it was coping for 9 months or 10 months. And then that becomes the norm and that becomes the way you live. But that's not fully the way that you should glorify God, as you and I discussed. And after that week, I just realized that that's the end of coping. It's now adapting to win. And what does it take for us to win? It needs to impact your choices that you make. A choice to be joyful in spite of being in a city of 30 million people, in spite of being in a flat on the 6th floor where we used to living and seeing Table Mountain. We choose joy. We chose a system that we know will take us to financial independence. We choose to submit to leadership. We choose to listen to advice. And then we choose to dream purposefully big, to daily think about what is it that God wants us to do, who are we going to impact. And us as a family, you can see there behind us, we each have a poster with our dreams. And those dreams are not just materialistic dreams. It's spiritual, financial, educational, but it's dreaming purposefully big and impacting others. And we need to focus on making different decisions, doing different things, doing different actions in order to achieve different results. And that's what the last few months with MyWealth has been to me. And that is where we want to take other people that we get in contact with in our lives.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tanya. So good to hear your story again. I was definitely hoping you were going to say it and I didn't. So thank you. Christian.
Good evening, Richard. You told us to be disruptive. I'm going to be disruptive. I'm not going to tell my story.
Right.
I've been watching this last couple of weeks. I don't know if you know about this amazing race called the Freedom Challenge. they start in Pietermaritzburg and they work their way to Paarl. It's 2,150 kilometers by a bicycle. So having your formula in the back of my mind, watching, it's basically just a little blip on a screen moving every day. So and reports and poems and literature that they create on their way. So what I've picked up from this is,
you must be having a signal.
Sorry about that. I'm tethering my phone here and it drops. Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. So we
lost
where you said what I took away from this. Basically, you were at that point.
When having the formula in the back of my mind, looking at these guys consistently repeating what they're doing every day, and there's a couple of guys that are trying to do this thing as fast as possible. One guy broke his ribs, and they end up. You need to be sustainable through this journey. So that's the main thing. You have to repeat successfully every day what you're doing, and you have to be sustainable in that. And then the other thing is there's no big reward at the end. It's you get a blanket if you've done this. So the main thing is to enjoy the journey, and that the journey be the reward. That the process of getting there. We're all thinking MyWealth should launch. What's going on with the launch? Why isn't it launching? And we're using that as a stumbling block. And we can already start with what we've got on our hands. We can do a lot already. There's no that is really no obligation or what can I say? Dis nie meer 'n spanner in ons speke nie. Yeah, so that's my takeaway with that, and I just think it's if you think of that 2,150 kilometers, you think of that beforehand, it's an impossible task. But if you take it and you break it down, and every day you see this progress, then anything is possible.
That's right. Thanks, Christian.
No. I mean, hi.
Hi.
Okay. I have written a few things down. So I think the first thing I want to say is that over the last 5 to 6 years or so, Andre and I have been on an amazing journey regarding our spiritual lives, and it's really reshaped us from where we were spiritually in very traditional beliefs to where we are now, knowing who we are and who our Father is and what that means for us spiritually. And we've also, over the last 15 years or so, been on an incredible health and wellness journey as well. But somehow that never translated to a financial level. And we've been in the traditional network marketing industries. So there was a lot of mindset input, but it never, for some reason, never made any sense. And I think that's what the masterminds, the ones that we did, the one we did previously with you, Rich, and the one that we've done now, that changed. These two masterminds has changed that we have been able to see the principles that we've learned and now apply them financially, because mindset is so important in every aspect of your life, not just in certain facets. And so when you were talking earlier about you started off with a 40-year, the penny also dropped in that I am 60 this year. Andre is 79. But we have, instead of looking back on our lives and thinking about the 40 years and 40 hours and 40 all that nonsense, we can look at the next 40 years with joy and with expectation and with excitement, and know that the best years of our lives are still ahead of us. And so we've got a future to look forward to again, where a lot of people give up. They get to retirement age and they just give up. And I think that's one of the things that the areas where we want to be able to give people that hope. And one of the best ways to give people hope is to be the letter that they read. They look at your life and they see what's going on in your life and they attach it. We've got children and grandchildren on 3 continents. Family is very important to us, but we've also got family that God has given us that are not blood, but they are closer to us than our blood. So we've got family right across the world, and we want to see them and visit them, and we're going to do that because of MyWealth. We want to visit people often. We don't want to, and we will not be contained in one place. I believe that freedom is coming. And then we've always had a heart for teenagers and to make a difference in their lives. I wear, I don't know if I've got it on. Yes, I have. I wear a silver starfish. I'm sure it's so small you can't see it, around my neck. It is to remind me that you make a difference one life at a time. It is the little boy that's walking on the seashore and he throws a starfish back into the sea, and someone says to him, "Why are you doing that?" And he says, "Well, because I don't want them to die." And they say, "Well, there's lots of them. You know, it's a futile thing that you're doing." And he says, "No, but for this one, it makes a difference." And we have lived that principle in our lives with the young people that have come through our home. We make a difference in one person's life. And when the one person has gone through our hands and we take a rest, then somehow the Father brings the next young person, and then we make a difference in their lives again. And so we want to make a difference in young teenagers' lives. There are so many teenagers, young teenage moms that they've got no hope for their future. They're caught in a situation where they just have no hope. And there are organizations that we can support and want to support that are already on the ground making a difference, and we can financially support them, and then we can reach more than one starfish at a time. And so the very last thing I want to say is just relate, and it applies to all of us, is I was driving to work this morning, and I was talking to the Father again, and he reminded me that as we are in Christ and Jesus, and he's in us and we're in the Father, so that means that everything that he thinks about Jesus, he thinks about us. And when Jesus was being baptized, he said, "This is my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased." And the Father says to all of us tonight, so put your name in there. This is my beloved Son, Rich, Antoinette, Eugene, Jessica, Andre, Juanita, in whom I am well pleased. The Father says he is well pleased with us. And so that is our mission, that we are living well-pleased lives because he loves us. And that's us.
Thanks, Juanita. Thank you for sharing. Jane.
Hi. I got a bit of a heads up from Rich from a meeting I was in last week about stories, and I thought, right, I'm going to tell my backstory, because that's, I'm really proud of where I've come to. And then Rich said, "But nobody wants to hear about that. We want to know about going forwards. It doesn't give people hope." So I thought, oh, right, great. And I thought, you're actually right with that. And it made me think of something that a friend gave me. I don't know if I can show this to people. It says, "Only ever look back to see how far you've come." And I think that's very true. And I think using the strength by looking back and carrying that strength forwards, it does make you look back and think, do you know what, things were bad then, so it'll never be as bad as that again, and I got through that, and this is how I can move forwards. So I've been editing my stories. I've been listening to people and making notes and going, yeah, that's really good. That relates to me. I've even made some notes and ideas for my business because I realised that the thing I wanted to talk about was having a thread running through. And Cheryl often talks about your authentic self. And I think if you have something that you're passionate about and you believe in, I think that's something that carries you through. And this little thing, this is what I do for my living. And this is a tiny little model horse. And they're individually hand airbrushed. They're all slightly different. And this particular model actually took me to America. And I showed it in a class. And it placed amongst lots of models. So this tiny little horse has taken me to places I never thought I'd go. But I always believed in the business I started around this. And thinking about how you can affect people. I never set the business up to make loads of money. It was because these models, when I was very young, were very expensive. And you were very lucky to maybe get 1 or 2 a year. So I wanted to be able to bring this to people so that they could afford them and have fun with them and meet other people. So now I run live shows where I meet lots of people and we show the model horses. I run a pony point scheme so that people, as they buy models, can accrue points and then get vouchers off. And I realised that through not having a monetary focus, it's actually expanded the business so much more that you then get income coming back in. And something that Rich pointed out on one of the earlier lessons that we did, and it was about communication. And I realised then that the most time I have communication with my customers is when I can't fulfil an order. And because a lot of them are time sensitive, they're for birthday presents and things like that, I'm always aware of that. And I like to speak to them. Sorry, I can't fulfill this. And usually they're so astounded that in this day and age, somebody's spoken to them, that I build up a rapport and I get more repeat orders from this. So I always say, don't be frightened to speak to your customers because your enthusiasm for your business will come through. So my hopes with the MyWealth is that I can move my business forwards to where it was going. I had a little bit of a stall when I split it with my partner. So I'm hoping now that it will go forwards. I've moved to a new area. There's a shop I'd really like. It would be absolutely fantastic to put my stock in. I'm hoping I might be able to run some shows from it. And maybe at some point get a horse box to put stock in to attend live shows. So I always say, keep something that's a passion. And if it's a small, tiny plastic horse, so be it.
Thank you, Jane. I'm sure if you bought a horse box, you're about to fit all your horses in it.
Not my personal collection, but never mind.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so important to be passionate about what we do, and the money will follow that. It's such a good principle. Thanks. Terence, at some stage you unmuted your microphone and then we lost you. Did you want to say something? Shalane, yes. I know that's not Shalane, but that's the name on the screen there.
Shalane speaking.
Baie mooi, dankie.
Yeah, I'm Philly, Shalane's husband. What I realized is that, like in the Bible, telling stories and parables, people will associate with it. And I've learned in MyWealth also to adapt to, or to first to learn by the way of questions to see what the other person's why is, and to support him in or her in their environment. And so that they can live out their dreams and their purpose while having financial support. And also the growth of a person as a leader, and financially growth, and then money will follow. So my story was also quite negative in the beginning, and I lost everything financially. I was also on platforms and the stock exchange and so on with shares. And then I stopped, and then I learned that from Anthony, the ABC, adversity builds character, and or John Maxwell's every adversity sows a seed of equivalent benefit. And from there on, I started focusing and building my life. And as Cor said, and I'm also going to bring him in a little bit later, Cor and Cecil, if you give, then you will receive. And in the beginning, I did not have money to give. So you can give something else. It's we all think it's only money, but you can give time or support or even a smile. And then it's interesting what you get back. So I was part of a other business with a T in the middle. It's a 3-letter word. And I went to Cor to find out more about that. And again, that could maybe be a negative, but if it was not for that company, I wouldn't have been here. And you know, so that connection was a very positive one for me. And so me and Shalane, she cancelled a Sanlam policy, and we tested MyWealth with that. And then from there on, everything just exploded. And since 7-8 months ago, my income that I got for a month is now more or less per day, and I can live my purpose, and and support other people to live their purposes. And so it's for me important to go and reach people in their environment. And I've seen too much that you want to change people like you are, and not to support them where they are. So and yeah, it's very nice to be part of a kingdom based business. And I've told both the 3 directors that at the first leadership meeting, I realized all of a sudden how my whole past fitted together like a puzzle, and what I can see where God took me to. Yeah, so that's my story.
Fantastic. Willie, if people ask you what makes MyWealth different, what is your answer to it? The
thing is the real people. And my impression, I always, if they ask me this, I tell them how I met them, and our communication and how we connected. And I remember so well when Anthony, I sat in front of him the first time with the appointment. He said to me, "How can I serve you?" And I thought a little bit, and then I said, "It can sound funny, but can we start this with a prayer?" And then all the people around him sat up, and he prayed for us. So yeah, that was quite a big impression to me. And so that's in very short. And from there on, we all know save money and so on. But yeah, for me, people and connection, and also verhoudings, relationships. That was a key for me, and that made this different from other people.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Andrew. Okay. Over to you, Andrew.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't have this massive big story in front of me, but I can tell you a little bit about my past and where I'm going. I've since started crypto 8 years ago. Everything I've made I've lost. And I came to a realization why I did lose everything. It's because I was looking at myself, how I can grow myself. And it was only me and I, and there was no Jesus involved. Or no, I knew Jesus, I know of him, but there wasn't a friendship. There wasn't a father that I looked up. There wasn't a relationship. When I realized that, things changed in my life. I brought the Father in prayer. I had a financial growth last year where I've never had an income before last year. I never had any income. I've been having the opportunity to have a proper income. We know of the company that went down. Yeah, fine. I mean, I lost money, but God still keep me on growing financially, blessing me financially because I'm putting him first and me last. So talking to other people is for me looking at them as something that can be molded and sculpted, but it's not me that's going to do it. I have to introduce God to them. I have to teach them, give them the Father, what the Father wants for them. And then finally they will realize out of the success that I have had, that where their success can lie as well is by the duplication that Rich talked about. When you spoke about this evening, Rich, it suddenly dawned on me that duplication is your life has to be shining out the Father's will for the people and not your own will, you know. Yeah, I've touched a couple of people's lives, helped them changing it and so forth. But when you work with people where money is the everything, if you talked about people that have money to invest, they suddenly become greedy and they want to keep that money. But when you talk to somebody that has nothing, they don't have anything to talk to. I mean, to invest, but they're willing to invest. They're willing to listen. But then they ask me, how am I going to achieve it without having any financial means in doing that? So last year I started by blessing people financially to get them off the road. And I thought that was doing the right thing. But those people that are blessed financially to start growing within crypto, not one of them has grown financially because they didn't pick up Father with them and having a relationship with God. For them was it, I got money, grow. But not one of them grow. They all staggered down, nothing happened. For me, it's a learning curve. Since I joined MyWealth, the MyWealth team, Charles, Doc Anth, you guys have taught me, and this time financially things, and I still have to learn. I've set this year aside for me as a learning year to teach myself things that I can keep my wealth or grow my wealth, keep my finances, and do it the correct way. So yeah, I'm on a total learning curve. I'm not building a business strong this year. It's more about learning and then about building. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. It makes me sort of think, what you've just said, and coming back to the original statement that Tanya pondered on. When we're helping people, are we helping them to cope? because we often think we're helping them so that they can win. But if we're helping them to cope, and that is their mindset, they can't get to the winning mindset. So, often we've got to be very responsible and apply our own kingdom principles to people, knowing that we must help those who want to win. We obviously can, it's charity, the other one. If you honestly want to help someone, then you must be sure that they're on a winning streak themselves, in their mindset. Otherwise, it's just charity. I've also tried that, and I actually thought about it yesterday, and wondering why none of those people that I've helped, and not all of them lost. So, but still, that didn't change them. And so that's the interesting thing. I had people that withdrew long before there was any chance of a loss, because they were actually greedy. They didn't want to win. So we've often got to think about our approach and what we're trying to help people with. Yes, as Jane says here in the chat, we need to help inspire them for their own journey. Often we want, when we think we help someone, unfortunately, what we're often doing is manipulating them into being like what we think success is. Meanwhile, as Jane says, it's so important that we don't try and get them onto our path, but allow them to do their own journey and help them on that journey. And, as sorry as we feel for people, unfortunately, that's just the reality of things. We've got to respect the journey that they're on. I see Willem, your hand is up, and SB, your hand is up as well. So let's hear from Willem there.
Yes. Our story with MyWealth can be themed like it's a suddenly. Middle of last year, or towards the end of last year, I was still working, and I'm still working at this point, but at that point, planning still to be working for another 10, 15 years to be able to retire, let's say fairly okay, or reasonably okay. But there was no hope in the future to be able to slack off in terms of work or doing something that's maybe less hours and so on. So, and that started to get to me. And then end of last year, I got introduced into MyWealth. And God has divinely provided for us to have finances actually available to invest. That makes it actually possible now for us to much earlier get out of the workplace, but also to be in a place where we can start blessing and get involved in the community around us and make a change in people's lives. And we had just a bit of a taste of that a couple of weeks ago. Friends of ours, they purchased a flat and so on, but they at the deeds office they had an issue with marriage certificates that had to be changed and something. I can't remember all the details, but they needed a certain amount of money to actually get that sorted out, that they can get the flat that they bought on their name and they can rent it out for income. But they didn't have the money available, and they were sitting already 5-6 months. So we helped them with that. We felt to sow into their lives, and for them it was such a blessing, and for us too. It was just so nice to allow them to continue with finishing this whole purchase and actually getting that all done. So that was for us just a taste in terms of being able to sow in people's lives, make a difference, give them a key that can unlock further things, and also then be looking forward to getting involved in our community and just as a family ourselves to soon I will be able to spend time with my children. We homeschool, so I will be getting involved much more with that, which I'm really looking forward to. My children are still young. So for us, there's so many things that just opening up. We're still unpacking and figuring out, okay, what are we going to do? And I myself is also on a journey to prepare myself and say, okay, God, what is now next? How does this new phase look like? But there's hope, to put it like that.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yes, Pierre?
It's actually, I'm Skalk. I just decided, I said to Doc, and I'm going to start calling myself SB on the call now, because every time Charles says, Scott, do you have anything to add? Then I'm like, is he talking to me? Or then I realize, no, he's actually talking to the other SB, because he's called Botha. So we are both SBs and Skalks. But anyway, so yeah. Richard, I think this is really, I must be honest, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful cause, the formula of success that you've put on here. And I think, the main thing for me was my whole life, I've always worked hard. I studied hard to become a doctor and to work in a practice and to earn good income and so forth. And I think one of the biggest things for me in my life was always been, I've put in money into assets, and I've got a very nice share portfolio and all those beautiful things. And then once I met Anthony, obviously we are very good friends, and I started speaking to Charles and all the guys like you, and I realized, it's all about cash flow. That was one of the biggest problems I have in my life, is that I've got a good practice, but we're working on debtors. So you're working on medical aids paying you. So it's always a cash flow issue. Although my purpose is to heal people completely, that's one of the things that I learned yesterday through is that what my purpose actually is, and it's 3 John 2, where it's to heal people completely in health, mind, and spirit. And it's one of those beautiful things that I want to do, but you need money. And, if I see a patient, they have to pay me. And if they don't pay me, there's no cash flow. And then I got all these beautiful shares and stock markets, but in the end, it doesn't create cash flow. The dividends you're getting from that's not something you can live off. It's very nice to see the growth, but there's no cash flow. And that's the one thing that I think, that the mindset in MyWealth really helped me a lot, is to realize that we need cash flow generating. It's like Charles says, if you can get people's money sorted out, that's when you can actually change their lives. And then the one thing that really, really touched me is two things actually is like, who am I? What is my identity? Do I really know who I am in Christ? And do I really know that if I operate from that place of peace, what is that going to change my life in terms of what I can do? And it's really made a big, significant difference in my life. And even on the summit, that's one of the things that really came through for me. And then the second big thing was that you have to be wealthy to bring in the wealthy people. And what is that you have to be wealthy? It is, do I know who I am? Do I know what my identity is? So I think for me, and that is my passion now, is really to say, listen, my purpose is to heal people completely. So I need to be wealthy so that I can go out and show people how they can be wealthy, so that they can come in and we can then start working on their mindsets, getting them cash flow so that they can start accelerating their capital. So then in the end, we can all preserve that, because that's how we're going to change the world and change South Africa specifically, is by just changing people's mindsets. And that's the one thing that really this course has done phenomenally for me. But it's really just to heal people in their minds, their spirits, and their bodies. So yeah, thank you. That's my story. So we're going to do some awesome things. Looking forward to a beautiful future. Thanks. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, SB.
Thanks.
I wonder if when you hear what SB has just said, how many of you have thought about the future and the actual change that you're going to be making in the future? Because you might think that you've got nothing, or you can only help 1 or 2 people at the moment, as Willem was saying, okay? But imagine when that is 100-fold, 1,000-fold, 10,000-fold, the difference that collectively you'll be making. That is the power. And I don't think many of us have thought to that depth yet. And that'll be unfolding in the next year or 2 or 3, as you see the possibilities of having more money than you ever dreamed of. And it's not about buying private jets and islands and yachts and that sort of nonsense. It's because you've got more money than you need to buy that nonsense to impress the people you don't like. Then you can actually make a difference. That is my excitement for the future, because when we think of people with money, we think of people who waste money, who have only got enough money to actually impress their friends. Imagine having more money than you could ever impress your friends with. Do you honestly think you'd ever try and impress your friends if you had that much money? No, they wouldn't be your friends and they wouldn't have any concern to you. That's the difference.
Yeah, and you can only impact other people's lives if you have cash flow.
Yes.
I mean, I've got a very nice income. I mean, my income is very nice, but my cash flow is very little. And that's a big, big problem. Money means nothing if it's not available to actually sow into other people's lives. You need money. You need money in hand. That to me is the key now, just to get my cash flow correct.
That's it. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that with us, Esper. It's a fantastic insight. Samantha.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Rich.
Hi there.
How are you doing?
Fine. We can't see you, but we listen.
No, that's fine. I'm going to be short and sweet. Okay, so a very, very long time, I never had a dream. My worst question was, so where do you want to be in 5 years' time? I could never answer it. I hated that question because I'm not really a goal setter. But MyWealth has taught me to purposefully grab a hold of your dreams, and also you influence the people when you are following your own dreams in the place where you play. So, for instance, if my dream is to be a doctor, I influence and unlock the dreams of the people in the medical field. Or if you want to be farming, you unlock the people following your own dreams, because then it all merges together and you uplift a community or a sphere of influence where you operate and they can see the passion in your dream. So, for instance, I mean, I would love to set up an end time community. And so when Charles and Doc Ann talks about an ecosystem, a MyWealth ecosystem, I think that's something that is unique and you don't get that anywhere else in the world. It's a complete full circle living because it covers every aspect of where we need to be. And then also the other thing is the mastermind. The mastermind is incredible. It helps you to actually navigate through the people that you're going to be dealing with to reach your purpose and your dreams. Because you may have the most awesome purpose, but if you're going to stamp on people and not treat them the way they need to be treated, and everybody's different, and you've got to be able to read that and navigate that. That's where the mastermind has actually been astounding. It's really been astounding. And then I also love the way Charles says that, you know what, a billion is just too small. He's got to think of trillions and in mega trillions. And it's not because I mean, once you're rich, you're rich. There's, what more do you want? An extra boat, an extra house? What can you do with that? But it's because the trillions will help you get your God-given purposes and your God-given dreams. And if you don't have the trillions, how on earth on this planet are you going to actually be of significance? And everybody's little dream will like thread together to form a tapestry that all the billions, it's not for us. It's because God is weaving a thread, and a beautiful picture is going to be at the end of the day. So don't look back. My story starts today. And if I missed up on my story a bit today, then tomorrow morning I will say, okay, my story starts today. So every day my story starts today. And you know what? If you don't write your own story, somebody else will. So that's me.
Samantha, thank you. My takeaway and the nugget in there was beautiful, that place where you play. And that for me makes your dream real. And if you can identify the place where you play and dream there, that's what the Bible says. Look at what's in your hands and use what's in your hands. Many of us dream about things that virtually have no relevance to us. It's just because we're so sometimes removed from reality that we dream things that are outside our reality. But if you can dream in the place where you play, then you are doing and making the difference because you're using what's in your hands. It's that simple. So that is beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for that wisdom. I must say, I've never heard it like that before, and it's truly a nugget there. Thank you.
Richard, I just want to come back to what you shared earlier in terms of this thinking big. I must say that is something too that the past bit I've just let myself wonder in terms of when you get to the point where there's really enough money, what's the difference you can make? And what's even your local community in South Africa and in our country itself, what's the real impact and stuff we can have, and start thinking about that and asking God, okay, what's the possibilities? Because if the money problem is solved, there's so much we can do on different levels.
There's a saying that always haunts me about people wanting to make a change, and that is, we are still waiting, and God is still waiting as well, for the person who is going to make a change that doesn't need the credit. Think about that.
Very true.
So often we do things and we're looking for some sort of reward. God is waiting for the person who's able to do things and doesn't need that recognition. Yeah. Antoinette.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are good.
Yeah.
So MyWealth has been a really beautiful journey for both me and my husband. I want to be a little bit of counter-cultural here. I know that many people said that we need a lot of money to change the world or the people around us or the situations that we are currently facing, but I do not 100% agree with that. I guess it really depends on which season you are in your life, because God uses different seasons and different things in different people's lives. So God can definitely do miracles through you, even if you have no money. And I am a really big testimony of what God has done, and what God have done through our lives just the last 5 years without having any money. The difference comes in if we've had a victim mentality mindset about money. Once we start to realize who we are in Christ or who we are in Jesus, now God can take us to a new season when we do have the financial ability to actually keep on doing what God already has been doing in our lives. We are without that limitation that our mind keeps on thinking, where is the next money going to come from? How am I going to do the next thing? So God always keeps on doing the impossible, but there's always been that part, even if we don't want to really say it, or even if we don't want to be honest about it, there's always been that part. God, you've been so amazing. So the one good thing is, you always see that it's been a miracle. If there's been no money, you always see the miracle. And when there is money, we sometimes tend to forget or see it as a normal thing when we can do things. But when there's not really money and God do things without it, we see that it's a miracle. But when we are in a season where God can trust us with little and we actually use it to the good of God's kingdom, and then he starts giving us more, because if you can trust us with little, you can trust us with more, and we start and continue to do the right thing. We don't have that limitation of mindset or the victim mentality about where is the money going to come from to do the exact same things, because God, if somebody just mentioned it, what do you have in your hands? If you have time, you can use it, because God has given all of us a gift. And MyWealth's gift to us is the financial education, because that is the one area of our life which most people struggle with, and understanding who we are in Christ. Because if we are the heirs to the throne, which is sons of the living God, sons and daughters of the living God, we are supposed to live in abundance and supposed to live without that victim mentality mindset about where is the next money going to come from, because if everything belongs to God and we are heirs to the throne, everything really belongs to us, and therefore the limitation in specific finances no longer exists, and therefore the 3 to 5 years mindset change to become financially free applies to everyone who understands that this is a process of financial freedom. So that's just been great. We're just grateful because this has challenged us with like-minded people in MyWealth that are vulnerable enough to share their stories, vulnerable enough to say, you know, we can learn. We actually are here to not just think inwardly, but to think outwardly. And the changes that God does in and through our lives continues, but it's just a new season and a new aspect of things that he wants to do with. And in this season, he wants to do with victim mentality about financial mindsets.
Yes, so important. You know, I think we can easily think that the rich have nothing to learn from us, but the knowledge that we have gained and are gaining from our MyWealth experience is able to teach everyone something, and we must never forget that, because if the rich really were wealthy, they wouldn't need to work, but they can carry on working like they're poor. You know, we have got so much to give and so much to help people with, and we've always got to be very thankful for that. So thanks for reminding us of just what we don't have and what we think we don't have and what we actually have got. So thank you so much. For Jessica.
It's Mike. Antoinette, thanks for bringing up the word abundance, because to me, MyWealth is wealth through abundance. And that thought came to me in one of the sessions. And, you know, I thought, well, what is wealth? Or more so, what is beyond wealth? And that, I believe, is abundance. And when we have no need to think about money, because if everything was created for us by God, then it's not the money that we should ever focus on. It's the abundance beyond that. Enjoying the whole of creation and every part of it. And when we see a need and it's not beautiful, then we change it. Because it's the love that we are. And that's why we do it. And I think Richard asked Billy the question, what makes MyWealth different? And if I've been watching tonight on gallery view. So I'm not seeing the speaker, I'm seeing the speaker in the picture. And then I realized what makes MyWealth different. It's because MyWealth is about you. It's not about me. So when I look at everyone on the screen, I see MyWealth because it's all about you, each one of you. And thank you. Appreciate it.
So I'm also looking at the gallery view, as Mike is, and I just know that there's other people that still want to share something. So I'm waiting.
I just want to say something else again about the this freedom challenge. You can't prepare. You can prepare, but you can't exercise a journey like that. And the same thing to MyWealth journey. You're gonna get stronger in the process, and that's a whole thing. If you think you need to have everything in order before you can start, you're gonna sit and wait forever.
That's so true. We just need to get into action with what we've got, because you've got it all already. You just need to believe it. You know, you are success. And you can operate in that success when you decide to. You don't need any extra, there's no other information that you need. You are success. So, you know, you can inspire others. You know, often as when Antoinette started speaking, you might have thought, oh yeah, it's easy to talk if you've got money, then, or you don't have money, or what do you do? Well, remember that if you honestly think that money is a problem, well, ask God to put you amongst the rich. And then you can't change anything, but you can make a difference in their lives. And as Joubert put it on his wonderful chart there of lots of colors, a smile makes a difference. A smile changes the world. So you might think you've got nothing, but you've got a smile, and that's going to make a big difference. Braden, looks like you want to say something. Come on.
No, I'm just listening, and yeah, just listening to everybody's story. Yeah, nothing much to say, thanks.
What is, if I might ask you, how long have you been with MyWealth now?
Yeah, I've been with MyWealth probably from about September last year. So I was introduced to it through my family. We live in Cape Town. I'm based in the UK. Been in the UK for about 7 years. But yeah, it's been great. Great seeing the growth.
Has your outlook changed?
My outlook has changed, yes, certainly, over the last 10 weeks. I think for me, it's more of a wealth sort of educational mindset that I'm sort of gaining from everybody, especially Charles, Doc, and yourself, Skulk. I think I come from a sort of a family where wealth hasn't I come from a family of sort of missionaries, if you know what I'm saying. So there hasn't been that wealth finance talk about. It's always been sort of we've got the bare minimum. We live life with very little, and I think over the last 9 months I've sort of learned that there's it's not all about poverty. I mean, I've done pretty well in my life compared to a lot of my family, but yeah, I think it's changing my mindset, and I just want to say thank you very much for that.
Thanks, Braden. We appreciate it.
I'm a man of very few words.
Yeah, well, you said a few more than a few words there, so well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure. Stephen.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I think I'm just going to touch on a thread that's been coming through quite often through here, is that we all have a desire to help others. But every time I've approached people to help them, they see you coming to help them. But I change that and I say, no, I don't want to come and help you. I want to show you how you can help yourself. And I learned this from a course that I did, the company, my previous company sent me on with finding your why. And for me, it was to help others find value with what they have. Because they say, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this. But if you stop and have a look and see what value do you have, you may have a skill, you may have family, you may have assets, you may have something that can be of value. And many times when people, I find in the past, are desperate, they've got money, but it's not worth anything. They know they're going to spend it every month and it's going to run out. But here is a solution that one can show you that can be a little more powerful than just spending the money, how to make the money work for you. But what I've learned was, and going forward, is also applying the principles that when you show someone, that they have value, that they are valued by other people, and that they have something that they can use, and they see they are valued, they find value in themselves actually, more than what other people sometimes see in them, then all of a sudden you find that they become purpose driven. And this is where I want to touch what was said in the beginning, that what Charles said is that helping others find their purpose creates a lot more influence in the world, because you're going to change people. And going forward, I approach everybody that I meet with purpose and say, I have a purpose in here. this is what I'm doing at the moment. You know, maybe you want to join me, maybe you don't want to join me, but let's find the value. Let's find that middle ground. Let's find something for you that's going to work for you. And that's what I've been doing. And I kind of like it. And I kind of like doing that full time now. So thanks everybody. And I've really enjoyed the course and the process we've gone through.
Thanks, Stephen. Good. Well, I see we're coming up on the 2 hours now, so we don't want to prolong it any longer. But thank you for everyone that shared. Thank you for your input. Thank you for, I think that the biggest privilege for me is that we can all learn from each other. And that's the value of a mastermind group. You know, if I came into this group thinking that I had all the answers, well, then I don't think this could have worked. But I thank you, each of you, for your input, your participation over the weeks, and just being a fantastic group. It's felt like family. It's never felt like a job or, you know, a task that I've had to do. So this has been really enjoyable. And I look forward to the next time we can do something similar. And hopefully it's you who's leading it and not me. That would be even better. So thank you very much. I say thank you to Charles for giving us this opportunity and making the times available, to Doc Ant and Skulk and everyone. Thank you so much for your input and your encouragement over the weeks. It's never easy to do something like this, but thank you for the encouragement that I have received. And I just appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rich. I want to say thank you to you, to Charles, to Doc Ant, and to Skulk, and to everybody on this meeting, because I have a very inquiring mind, and as I listen to each one of you, it inspires me to do better and to find other ways of doing things. So thank you for your input and for everybody that participated. I really appreciate it.
I just want to echo that it's been life-changing. Certain areas, definitely 180 degrees change of things and how I approach stuff and think about stuff. So Rich, thank you very much.
I think it's only on behalf of the executive, I would like to just take the time to really thank Rich for adding richness to our lives. Rich has been a fantastic journey. I think the reward lies in the growth that we've heard from the people tonight. It really pleases the executive to hear how this journey has been celebrated and how cohesively as a team we can go forward in expectation with the hope to make a difference in the lives of other people. And as we heard tonight, every single person has realized it's not about them, it's about others. And that will be the reward as congruently we have a solution that really takes this world by storm. So on behalf of the executive, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank Charles for his participation. I want to thank my brother Skulk. It's just got such an insightful voice. And we're just looking forward to the next time that we can add value to each other's lives. Thank you and good night, everybody.
Good night again. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you, Rich and everybody. It's been amazing. Bye.
Thank you, Ian.
Bye, Mikey.
Bye, Wim Skulk.
Jy het mooi Afrikaans gepraat, hoor. Dis guys.
Yes.
Cheers. Good night, Christian.
Thanks, Reed. Cheers. Good night.
Thanks, Eugene. Cheers. Good night.
Cheers.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So thanks, Saul. I got lots of compliments about this course.
Did I say Michael? Did I say Rich?
You said Mike.
It's all Mike's fault, Rich. I promise you.
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you've never met me. You've only met Mike, so it makes sense that you know, when you think of Mike and not necessarily me. So that's fun.
Well, I call my wife my daughter's name, so, and vice versa. So it's not special.
That gets you into trouble, but
yeah, sometimes it has. But yeah. But thank you, Rich, and thank you, Mike, for allowing us to compliment you for something you have allowed your brother to do.
No. He has my full permission. It's fine.
You know, also, long as the priorities are straight here, I think we can make it work.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All right, guys. Good night.
Chats in here, which I want to read.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good night, guys. Cheers.
Good night, Mike.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks, Skulk. I'm gonna go. I need to have dinner. So yes, Shaw, sorry. I think I said Skulk. I'm seeing Skulk SBR on the screen here. That's why. So thinking of him, and then because he
Dr. Skulk.
Ja, dis Dr. Skulk. Dis die regte dokter, nie net die doc.
Yes.
That's it. All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks, Shaw. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.